Thank you, Anita, and I assume you can hear me. Don't eat your desserts. This is about a 3-hour talk, and I don't want you to go to sleep, okay? No, seriously, it's a real pleasure to welcome you all back in Golden. I hope you're having a chance to reconnect with classmates and reminisce a bit about the good old days you spent together at Mines. I hear from a lot of alums that says it takes them at least 10 years after graduating to refer to them as the good old days. So I understand that. I also hope all the construction on campus didn't mess you up on parking. If you're coming to tonight's dinner, parking will be behind the Lockridge Arena here in the Recreation Center, and we'll look forward to seeing you there tonight. I'd like to particularly recognize all of you who are here for your 50th reunion. As I'll bet you've noticed, things have changed just a little bit since you graduated here in 1961. One big change is the size of the school. In 1961, Mines enrolled about 1,200 students. This year, we enrolled almost 5,000, around 3,700 undergraduates and almost 1,300 graduate students. And while we plan to keep the undergraduate enrollment fairly level over the next several years, we do expect to continue to increase graduate enrollment up to around 1,500 students or another 200, assuming continued growth in our research funding. Another big change, and this is a big change, is the number of women at Mines. You've just heard about our all-female mine rescue team, the first in the nation. 50 years ago, there were literally only a handful of women enrolled. Today, about 25% of our students are women. And as of this year, I'm really pleased to announce that we have the largest chapter of the Society of Women Engineers among all campuses in the United States. And that's a significant achievement. A few other points just to sort of bring you up to current times. Back in 1961, in-state tuition at Mines was $235 per year, and out-of-state was $5,500 per year. It's grown just a little bit over that period of time, over the 50 years. This academic year, in-state tuition was a little over $12,000 per year, and out-of-state tuition was more than $26,000. Now, some of that is just natural inflation. If you can remember 50 years ago, an average starting salary for an engineering graduate was around $6,000. And our engineers this year will see an average of $65,000 as a starting salary. Some of those will see starting salaries approaching $90,000 to $100,000. Still, tuition rates have grown faster, reflecting a long-term decline in public funding and shifting the burden to the tuition payers. A decade ago in Colorado, the state provided about 21% of our operating revenue. Next year, it'll be less than 8%. So a lot of changes in the way schools are managed and financed. You may have also noticed that the value of a Mines education is receiving a lot more national recognition. Last year, Payscale.com ranked Mines as the top U.S. public university for starting salaries. And Bloomberg Businessweek called Mines the biggest bargain for education investment of any U.S. university. So while the costs of a Mines education have gone up significantly, there is recognition that the return on that investment is still outstanding. Regardless of all that has changed, Mines students are still among the hardest working you will find at any university. Now, we don't do the gauntlet anymore. We don't do the de-pantsing thing anymore. But we still work hard here, and that's sort of a strength and legacy of this school that you all as alums helped establish. But I never resist the opportunity to brag about our students, so I'm going to do that a little bit for a few minutes here. First of all, I've got to really focus on our athletics program. They've been enjoying remarkable success in recent years. This past fall, all of our varsity teams made it to the Division II national playoffs. So here's just a few highlights of this past year. The CSM men's cross-country team placed fourth at the NCAA Division II Championships in 2010, earning its sixth consecutive top 10 finish at nationals. And for Division II schools, that's a population of more than 300 universities. The CSM women's soccer team made its third straight appearance in the NCAA tournament in 2010. The CSM's men's soccer made its second consecutive appearance in the tournament, third in the program history, and won its first ever NCAA tournament game. The Ore Diggers also claimed both the RMAC, the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference, regular season and tournament titles. The CSM football team qualified for the NCAA Division II football championships for the second time in program history. The Ore Diggers, who were RMAC co-champions, were ranked as high as number 16th in the nation this fall. One of our players, Mark Scheichel, he became the all-time NCAA Division II career leader in sacks during the 2010 season, earned All-American recognition, and you may be able to see him next fall, and that several pro teams are very much interested in him. And then moving to the spring or the season semester, the CSM men's basketball team won the RMAC regular season title and earned its second consecutive appearance in the NCAA Division II tournament. The Ore Diggers came away victorious in the Central Region quarterfinals to secure their first NCAA postseason victory in program history. Now, I talked about the growth in women students at Mines. I think it's remarkable for this school. We have 18 varsity supports in Division II. 9 of those are men's teams, 9 of those are women's teams. So a really strong program and great student participation. But we do a lot of other things here than just athletics. And I'd like to give you a few examples. And we mentioned the mine rescue team. Our mining students organized and hosted the first ever collegiate mines rescue contest and challenge this past February, held up at our Edgar mine outside Idaho Springs. And then we're fortunate to have Jeff Hart, who was the Colorado driller who was so instrumental in the Chilean mine rescue efforts, to come speak to our students and all their guest students from the other schools that were participating. For the past 3 years, our students have organized a leadership conference on campus, drawing over 300 student participants and some outstanding speakers. This past year, we were fortunate to have alumnus Bob Waterman speak to the students. As you may know, Bob was co-author of probably one of the most famous management books ever written, In Search of Excellence. And if you've ever had the opportunity to visit the Senior Design Trade Fair or the Student Research Fair, I can guarantee you would be amazed at the quality research being undertaken by both our undergraduate and graduate students. Mine students continue to expand their educational horizons through programs like the McBride Honors Program in Public Affairs and our Humanitarian Engineering Program. And they also demonstrate their creative sides through participation in our music program. The Mine Marching Band is famous all over this state, primarily for their uniforms. Not many bands wear hard hats, but also for their enthusiasm and the way they support and represent the school. Mine's little theater productions and our annual literary magazine called High Grade. Of course, Mine students are also busy working. U.S. News and World Report ranked Mine second among all national universities, both public and private, in the percentage of bachelor degree recipients who've worked as interns during the course of their undergraduate education. To continue to build on this positive momentum, we are pursuing an ambitious plan for Mines developed around 6 core strategies. First and foremost, we want to continue to enhance our undergraduate education program. The Mines baccalaureate degree is really the foundation of this school throughout the decades of its history. And we want to continue and build on that program to reflect changes in curriculum, to reflect changing needs and desires of students who want to come here. But we want the undergraduate program to really be the cornerstone of the institution. At the same time, we want to grow our research programs. Research programs do a couple of things for us. First, they help us attract some of the best young faculty from around the world. They obviously help us attract some of the best graduate students from the top schools around the world, but they also provide educational opportunities for undergraduate students to pursue independent research on their own. And so that remains, our vision is to transform Mines from being really a great regional university to a top-tier national research institution. We want to pursue key strategic enterprises. Part of that is really selfish. We give it that nice name, strategic enterprises. We want to grow additional revenues outside tuition and research funding to help support the school. And we'll do that through continuing education, professional development programs for industry, contractual relationships in other countries to help them put in place top engineering schools like we did with Abu Dhabi, work with the federal government and such programs as mine safety and so on. All these providing a service based on the expertise that the school has and at the same time generating a revenue stream that will help support our broader mission. Clearly, a school like this that is growing both in terms of size of students, size of faculty, expansion of our programs within our core areas and so on, puts stresses on our academic infrastructure. So one of the core strategies is continue to expand and upgrade our academic infrastructure. For a school like Mines, you have to be leading edge in that regard. And we can't be dealing with laboratories that are 10 years old or 20 years old. So a never-ending effort is to expand that academic infrastructure and upgrade it. We want to become a true residential university. Mines basically today is a commuting school. We can only house 30% of our students on campus. And when you look at the changing demographics of our student body, more women, more non-resident students, more international students, they want to have a traditional university experience and they want to be able to live on campus. We want to have the programs that accompany that residential experience. Our aim to do that is really to ensure that we can improve retention and shorten the time to graduation. That's really our core mission here, is to teach and graduate students and get them on their way. And the final one is to enable Mines' future financial security. I talked earlier about the changing landscape of public funding for higher education. We've taken the tact at Mines that we want to be more self-sufficient, more self-reliant in terms of our finances and how we manage going into the future. And we've been working with the state in terms of a compact in the way we can do that. I'll tell you that I think that Mines is on good financial footing now. We're one of the few institutions in this state with the coming out of the current recession. We haven't had layoffs, we haven't had furloughs, we haven't had curtailment of major programs, but we are being cost efficient. We just can't rely on continued increases in tuition to have students continuing to come here. Our enrollment has been strong, as you've seen in the growth numbers I talked to you about, but I think more importantly, just comment, the last 3 years we've had in excess of 10,000 applications for this school, and we've only got 900 to 950 spots for an incoming class. So the competition to come here is growing, and the quality of the students is growing. Let me talk a little bit about the research program at Mines. It's grown significantly over the last 5 years. We've doubled it from being in the low to the mid-20s to over $55 million a year. As I said earlier, this program, research program, goes hand in hand with our educational mission, and it really crosses the breadth of the energy and earth sciences research areas and so on. Areas that are hot spots right now that you'll probably read about, that you have read about in the paper,